Is traveling overrated? Today we'll talk about some positive as well as negative points perhaps you haven't thought about when it comes to traveling. Because a lot of time when we look at social media and YouTube videos or Instagram feed and all these people are traveling the world, they put up like very beautiful scenic photo at the beach, climbing the mountain and staying at 5-star resorts. And then we think that is such a glamorous thing that why wouldn't anyone want to travel? It's like the best thing in the world. All you do is eat and have fun and see new sight and enjoy company with new people. So it's a very exciting and refreshing life, especially if you're trapped in your home doing your work every single day and the weather is really cold and it's snowing outside. You want to get over here where there's a lot of nature and fresh air. However, there are some negative points that, in between people don't like to show you. And today we're going to discuss in more details about it. First of all, in order to travel, you need to take a lot of time off of your work because everyone needs a job, right, in order to pay for the bill and just to, keep up our lifestyle. So taking time off of work means taking a dent in your finances. Perhaps you have to even book in advance, ask your boss to take 2 or 3 weeks off because, they need someone to fill in for you. And then you have to do research in regards to, what flight you're going to go on, where you're going to stay, what's a good location near all the activities and all the food that you want to try. So it takes a lot of mental capacity as well as finance in order to go on a trip. It's not as easy as you think. A lot of people just say, oh, it's so cheap, especially here in Southeast Asia or South America. A hotel room is like $5-10. But that's not reality. Sometimes they got really lucky, they found something that's very cheap. It's low season, so there's no one booking it. It might be rainy or something outside so that, all the hotel having a big discount. Or perhaps they're in a dangerous area or there's some mold or God knows, could be bed bugs. That's why that hotel is really cheap. A lot of time when you travel, you're gonna see that hotels it's not as cheap as you think, and also the food as well. When you add on all the tip and service fees and stuff like that, it's actually not that cheap because you're already spending a lot of money for the flight and all the bus and stuff to get over here. So when you add it all up, if you want to eat cheap food, it's probably cheaper to eat in your own country. So why do people travel? We're not talking about, if you're trying to visit a relative or a loved one, or you go on a business trip, to make some money for an important meeting or something like that, or perhaps you're on a religious path, you're doing it, for something spiritual. That's different. You have to go somewhere to do those stuff, then you have to do it. But I'm talking about, escaping your mundane, boring life to go and see how other people live. Over time, you're going to see that actually the way that people live is very similar. When you go to the Philippines and then Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, and then Korea and Japan, you start seeing a pattern that actually people have, similar lives in these places, and you don't have to go to every country or every city in order to see this. So over time, is that a good reason to actually go travel and, spend a lot of money and energy and putting yourself in danger? So that's the next point I want to talk about, which is the danger of being in a foreign place. A lot of people don't know when you step out of your city, not everywhere is like that. You know the street, the area to live in, where to go and where to avoid. But when you're in a whole new place, especially you look completely different from the locals, sometimes it can pose some danger because they look at you and they think you have a lot of money, first of all, because you're traveling, you're from another country. Perhaps they assume that you're from, North America or some European countries. So you can become a target for robbery or, scams and things like that. Especially you're holding around, iPhone 15 or 16, whatever it is now, and you have jewelry and nice watches on. You got to be really careful which neighborhood you're in. And if your flight lands at an odd time, you go into a hotel at 1 or 2 a.m., make sure just hide all your valuables like gold and jewelry and stuff like that, right? Don't be too flashy because you never know. You're going here to explore all these different areas. Perhaps they're living in poverty. It's very different from the big city where you're from, and because they're in poverty, sometimes they would do things that you would normally not do, because they're very hungry, and here you are flashing all your wealth. It could be quite dangerous. Especially a lot of you guys are solo travelers. It's a trend now. People don't have friends to travel with, or it's hard to get family and relatives to take time off to travel with you. So people are taking the reign and traveling by themselves, whether they're male or females. And this can be quite dangerous, because if you step into an area in an alley or something where there's a lot of people, could be a little group of guys hanging out smoking or something like that, and you're by yourself, they may have some ideas that is not pre-planned already. And right then and there you can lose your money, your phone, and other stuff that you're holding with you. So be very careful when you're in a foreign place, because sometimes you're actually putting yourself in danger trying to explore something new, because you don't know where you are, then it's going to be very risky. So when you guys are traveling, make sure to do good research about what neighborhood you're going to and where to go and where to avoid. Don't just think that everywhere is like your home city and you just do whatever you want, because after all, you are a foreigner and you're going to stick out, and that's the number one reason that you're going to become a target. People also feel like they can overcharge you when you are a foreigner stepping into a foreign country. Just because you look different, they think you have more money and you don't know the local prices. So something that they'll charge a local person, maybe $3 or $5, they'll charge you for like $10 or $15. And if you're a seasoned traveler or you're good at bargaining, you know the prices, and they know, then they sense that and they can give you a discount. But that's just an insult. That's something that costs $5, and they'll start off calling it at $20. And then if you walk away, they'll start saying, okay, fine, I'll give you for $14 or $12. But why don't they give you the fair price in the first place? What if I had accepted to pay the high price initially and I didn't know how to bargain? So again, it's very insulting. Sometimes it hurts that I'm walking up, I'm trying to buy something from a vendor. They invite me in. They're always calling you in to buy stuff, by the way. And then when you go in, they overcharge you. That's the ironic thing. So they always invite you, calling you in to buy something. And then when I step in, I say, okay, sure, how about this hat? How much is it? And they'll tell me like $15 for a hat that costs like $3 or $4. And then they'll start lowering the price if they see that you're not interested. So this is something you gotta keep in mind when you're traveling, is that it's become a culture almost to overcharge foreigners. So whenever you guys are trying to buy souvenirs or clothing or something like that when you land here in a new country, keep in mind that the prices could be a lot lower than what they're giving you initially. Another thing I don't like about traveling is whenever you go to the airport, it's just a hassle. Sometimes when you're landing and you see like thousands of people at an airport and you're lining up, and then it's so noisy because all the kids are excited to be abroad and traveling. They could be doing some kind of renovation or something like that, and there's drills and hammers going on, and it's very stuffy. Not all international airports are like very big, airy, and has fans and AC. Some of them can be really hot and crowded, and it gives you this claustrophobic feeling. And I really don't like that feeling when you're lining up behind like hundreds of people and you're trying to choose which line is shortest, and then there's loud kids running around and everyone is like rubbing off against you because they're walking and brushing past you. So traveling is not all that pretty. Nobody's going to film all the footages at the airport. And not to mention the delays. Sometimes you buy a ticket and it's not from a big reputable brand for an airline, then they may have some delays or they have cancellation and you have to stay at the airport for like 2-3 hours and wait for the next one. So the next point is money. Everywhere you go when you're traveling is money. I get it, you're traveling, so you're prepared to spend money, and that's why traveling, you cannot think too much about spending. Before you go traveling, you have to save up a lot of money so that when you are abroad, spending is not an issue for you. You don't have to think too much about it, because when you're here, you try to enjoy yourself. There's ski-doo, there's beautiful restaurants and malls and all these beautiful souvenirs and clothing you want to buy. So everything you walk around, there's going to be money involved, especially around touristy places like this. It's basically built for tourists. When you first come here, you think, oh, you're going to enjoy the beach, you're going to go eat and go hiking and things like that. But soon you realize that everywhere there are stoppage points and people are trying to make money out of it. Obviously, they're the locals. They know how many people come here and the kind of activities and things that people need. So anytime when there's people traveling, the locals are going to think of new ideas and new ways to get money out of you. And whenever you use their service, like motorbike rental or some kind of tour services, you have to add on the tips as well. And that's another question, because do you tip 5% or 20% or 10%, you know? Because sometimes when you tip too low, they might be a little bit disgruntled, even though tip is up to your discretion, but you have to tip them the right amount as well. So that's what I mean when I say money is like everything, and everywhere you go is all about money. So when you're traveling, just don't be a cheap Charlie. Bring more than you think you need and be prepared to spend, because if you are going to cheap out on certain things, it's going to be very inconvenient for you to get around, have fun, and have a smooth trip. The next point is the odd hours of, packing and going to your flight and catching the bus. If you're going from city to city, sometimes you have to catch a van or a sleeper bus or something like that. And sometimes they run at like 11 p.m. or midnight. And when you're going there, it's going to disrupt your sleep and you have to wait for the bus to get to your destination. It takes about 5-6 hours sometime here in Asia. And that's going to mess up your sleep quite a bit. If you're sleeping at 10, 11 every day, when you're traveling, be prepared for it to be all messed up. Sometimes you can sleep at 3 or 4 a.m. Sometimes it's going to be 7 a.m. It depends on your flight and your booking schedule. So if you are sleeping at a certain hour and you're traveling, you can get jet lag, and on top of that, you're going to have like messed up schedule sometime, especially if you are trying to travel to a lot of cities. Be prepared to be in a cranky mood, because you're not going to get your regular sleeping hours, and you're probably not going to get enough sleep as opposed to your normal hours in your city. There are a few positive points, however, that is attached to traveling. Like I said, a lot of people are going to try to scam you, overcharge you, and things like that, and you have to look out for dangers. The positive side of this is you're going to become sharper when you travel, because you always are on the lookout for people trying to take your stuff or overcharge you or do something that is wrong. So your senses are being more alert. If you guys are living in a city and nothing ever happens, it's always the same Tuesday every single day, then you're going to live in your comfort zone. You're going to be lazy and you don't have to use your mind all that much. But if you're traveling, you're always using your head to think about everything, because you're in a new environment, you're trying to catch that bus, check in on time, and trying to get your route correctly, get your money right. You don't want to give them a bill that's too big, and you make sure you get your change correctly, choosing what to eat, is it safe or not. So you're always thinking, trying to avoid all this pitfall and danger. As a result, you become smarter and sharper, and you just learn more things, because you're in a new place where everything is different. Things function so much differently from where you are. Overall, when you go back to your country, you're going to learn a lot of new stuff that you didn't know before, and as a result, this is going to make you a lot smarter, and perhaps you can pick up something here that you can apply to your normal life when you go back to your country. And I think that's a really big positive point, is keep you sharp and kind of keep you on the know all the time when you're traveling. The more country you go to, the more you know and the smarter you become. That's how I feel about that. When you guys are veteran travelers, you also pick up on where to stay. First of all, I want to be somewhere that is relatively close to the entertainment district, because even though I don't go there that much, I don't drink or smoke up or anything like that. But if you want to go somewhere that's busy and you're trying to break out of boredom, there's somewhere you can go. Like in Saigon, it'd be like Bui Vien Street, or here in Phuket, it'd be Bangla Road, or in Bangkok, it'd be like Nana Plaza or something like that. So you want to stay somewhere that is like at least 5-10 minutes away from an entertainment district, where you go out, have fun, and meet some people. Second of all, you want to stay somewhere near like a park or somewhere with a lot of trees for fresh air. Because a lot of big city is like a concrete jungle, when you go there, you can get really stuffy if you stay like a week or two. So you want to stay somewhere closer to a park, maybe with trees and a pond or something like that. You can go there and meditate, work out, or just take a walk and get some fresh air. Another thing is grocery. You want to stay near a big grocery store, because during hot hours, especially in Asia, it can be extremely hot. You want to walk in there and buy some fruits and drinks and stuff like that. Maybe some, basic grocery you go home and make. And during that time, you can escape the sun and also get some nutrition as well. So living near a grocery store is really good, especially if you don't want to eat out every single day. It's a good place to hide away from the hot sun and buy some ingredient and cook some healthy food that's also cheap. If you are an older person and healthcare is a concern for you, then you want to pick somewhere near some kind of healthcare system like a hospital or a clinic or something like that. So in case of emergency, you can get there fairly quickly. Those are my points regarding traveling. There are a lot of negatives, but there are positive as well. At the end of the day, it's an individual choice whether or not you want to travel. So you guys are veteran travelers. What do you think after so many trips? Do you still feel excited about traveling? Do you think that traveling is overrated? Put in the comment below. Thank you so much for watching the entire video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.